Stand by. The program will begin soon.
There's an example yesterday I saw of this woman who's been here. I mean, we might even play this clip. She's been here 20 years. She has 3 kids who were born here. Her kids are because of birthright citizenship, which is another subject that's coming up. And she never bothered to even try to resolve her immigration status. Not in 20 years. She has never tried to resolve her immigration status. Not through Republican presidents, not through Democratic presidents, nothing. And so now, she's worried about being deported because they put out the sob story of this woman. Well, that's not the average person they're even looking at right now. The average person they're looking at crossed in the last 3 years are CNN is cutting jobs to embrace the digital future. No, they're cutting jobs because, as I like to say, they suck. CNN is undergoing a significant restructuring, planning to lay off about 200 employees, which constitutes approximately 6% of its workforce. This move is part of a broader strategy under CEO Mark Thompson to pivot towards a digital-first approach, focusing on expanding digital subscriptions and reducing costs from traditional TV operations. Wait a minute. Didn't they already try the CNN subscription service, which failed miserably? Which, if you truly have compassion for trans kids, you would allow them to all go through puberty, because 90% of kids who think they're trans change their mind once they go through puberty. That puberty is the fix for most of the problems. But you guys want the medicalization of kids and sterilization of kids and medical and surgical altering of kids who can't make that decision at 12 years old or 13 years old. Diablo asks, why is it when I try to show empathy and concern, people always misconstrue it? Last time I asked someone if their mom at least got a good check from the clinic that botched the abortion. Oh! Oh, God. Damn it, AD. I think you just need to find a gentle way.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
I would be willing to bet everything I own that submitting a 22-minute video montage that shows the most egregious acts of violence you can find from that day, when the defendant in question is on that video for only 6 seconds and is seen walking calmly, is highly prejudicial and a violation of the defendant's due process rights. The person was found guilty and sentenced to 19 months in prison. Now, it took 2 hours to read through all of the documents that were in the case file. Every motion submitted by the defendant was denied. Every motion by the defendant was denied. How often does that happen? And every motion submitted by the government was granted. They turned a trespass misdemeanor that would have resulted in a $50 ticket into 5 misdemeanors and a felony charge by charging the defendant with a statute that would have required the Secret Service to rope off the section he was in, which they did not. They also charged him with a statute that would have been required them to prove Mike Pence was in the building at the time he walked through that corridor. He was not. And finally, they used an Enron statute that the Supreme Court struck down. If you accept a pardon, you are admitting guilt. Period. That's the, because you can't be pardoned if you're not guilty.
Whether he can preemptive pardon, whether he can issue President's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No, Mr.
Oh,
President. That
you
would
can't?
be a gross abuse
Oh,
of the presidential
it's a
pardon authority.
gross abuse
President-
of presidential pardon authority. Well, there you go. You accepted a pardon, Adam Kinzinger. You think you may have committed a crime. Oh, here, J.B. Raskin. Dirty Q-tip. Dirty Q-tip, J.B. Raskin. What else? What did he have to say?
Well, the seeking of pardons is
Yes, it's only on
powerful
one side.
demonstration of the consciousness of guilt, or
Ah,
at least the consciousness that you may be in trouble.
J.B.
And that's
Raskin.
what's so shocking
Did he get
about
a
this.
pardon also? Wasn't he on
Well,
that
the
committee?
seeking of pardons is
He was on that committee. I'm curious if you're going to condemn that part. Are you going to condemn that pardon?
Joe Biden pardoned a lot of people. Yeah, he should answer for that and explain.
Lots of murderers, lots of drug dealers, lots of people who killed people, commuted the sentence of a couple murderers. One drug dealer who people died from taking the drugs that they sold them.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
The Obama Aniston rumors have gone wild. Rumors have emerged on social media that suggest Barack and Michelle Obama might be heading towards divorce, with speculators linking Barack Obama to actress Jennifer Aniston. Those rumors have gained traction following Michelle Obama's absence from Jimmy Carter's funeral and the inauguration, and are based on tabloid stories and social media speculation without solid confirmation from the individuals involved. So far, they're still rumors, and I don't know why people are perpetuating them, but it is kind of fun to perpetuate rumors like that. No one's come out to, out and out deny anything. That's the weird.
We should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity.
The
Of a
audacity!
president who's so clearly
The
concerned about his
audacity!
own criminal culpability.
Oh my God, his own criminal culpability and his son's business dealings. I know that they're talking about Joe Biden, aren't they?
And that of his family members.
Like the boy asks, are cats really soul suckers? Yes. Yes. That's why I'm not into cats. Dogs, man. I'm a dog guy. Avocado Stabby, is there an aisle in the grocery store that is less objectionable to have sex in? Where do you come up with this shit? Dude.
Has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician, has risen.
Yes.
Somebody who 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, a dead.
And I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding Donald Trump's demise that has failed. I wonder how many people at Davos, again, let me say it again. I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding what they had hoped would be Trump's demise. Bet you there's a few of them there. And it didn't work, did it now? Didn't work now, did it?
Politically known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can erase it.
At the end of the show, every day on my show, if I put something on the screen or I'm talking about it or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about. And even more, the ones I didn't even get to, I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Night.
Yes. Why does my voice sound so weird? I don't know. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Night on the internet. Welcome back to the P-Dog Night channel, where I didn't go to any protests this weekend because it was my birthday and I just didn't feel like saying hands off. I'm not so convinced that they're right. But I know that I'm right every time. No, not exactly. Sometimes I get things wrong, but I'll admit it when I do. And there's one thing that I kind of got wrong. Oh, did you? Wait a minute. This is not right. Well, there's something I didn't do right. I didn't reset the stream label. So there you go. There is no superstar sponsor of the day, but so you still have a chance, everybody. Anyway, hi, happy Monday. It's the 7th of April, 2025, the third day of me being 61. And I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that I'm here because, any day you wake up is a good day. I'm just saying, if there could be worse. There's, in the immortal words of, what's her name? Rizzo, something like that. There's worse things I could do, and getting up ain't one of them. So anyway, there's a lot of big protests around the nation yesterday or over the weekend, and lots of, more Tesla protests and this and that, and leftists losing their minds, and the stock market, crashing, losing a percentage of its value, and everyone's upset and worried, and I'm like, has this really affected, things in a big way yet? I don't know. 50 countries have decided to negotiate their tariffs with the United States so far, which is, that sounds like a good thing. And maybe we needed a big reset. First of all, here's one of the things I wanted to say. As I'm watching what's happening with, the people bitching about Doge, the people bitching about this. And it's funny because, first, let me start with something somebody else said. And it's our friend Sonny Johnson, who's cracking me up right now. Because if, perchance, our government is this great white supremacist, we have this great white supremacist government. And now we got all these people out there protesting to continue the great white supremacist government. That's the irony of it. But, which is funny to me. It's just a funny way she put it. I wish I had the exact words she said, but it was hilarious. You're all fighting to keep this white supremacist government going. And also the other part is, for my entire adult life, and one as I took to following politics, intently, not so intently, just as there's been a variance in my entire adult political life. But there's always been this nagging thought that I've had that what we have been doing is unsustainable. And I hate that word unsustainable because it reminds me of the leftist hacks who were talking about all kinds of other things. But the idea that we can continue racking up the national debt has been a concern for my entire adult political life. And I knew that there was going to be some point in time where the people who just say, oh, keep the status quo because we need to spend more money on this and take more money from them and give it to somebody else and blah, 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 blah. There was going to come a time when we had to say, wait a minute, when are we going to stop doing this? And we did it for a brief period in the late 90s. When the Republican Congress came in and said, oh, hold on there. And Bill Clinton said, oh, well, not only are we gonna do this, but I'm gonna take credit for it because like it was my idea. But all these politicians who were screaming about us, cutting government in the United States, they all said it before. We saw the clips of Barack Obama saying it. We saw even clips of Joe Biden. They had their own little Doge, even though that's not what they called it during the Obama administration. They had it during the Clinton administration. But no one said it's going to be easy. And so if you're expecting it to be easy, well then you're not really paying attention. It's not going to be easy. And we know that. And some of us who voted for this, and granted, the way the Trump administration did it seems like it's sloppy, but it's long overdue. I think the guy down in what's the dude's? It's not Colombia, not Ecuador, Argentina. He had the right idea. You got to start cutting the government down because government almost never shrinks. And until we shrink government, we're going to keep the deficit spending. Javier Milei. And that's the only way to do it. And it's not going to be easy on everybody. There's going to be some tough times, but in the long run, we will be stronger. But if we keep doing the same thing over, and even this last continuing resolution racks up another $2 trillion in debt on stuff that's bullshit, And so I really don't mind that there is a Doge, even though, it's questionable how much they're actually saving us. But you know what? And obviously they're not going to save it today because we've already spent the money the money that's going out today was decided 2 years ago. So the only thing this is going to do is help fix things down the road. And yes, it's going to be hard. There's going to be, the stock market. Oh, and the other irony. So during Trump's administration, his first administration, and he was always touting the stock market going up. And then, so he did that. So during the Biden administration, it continued that trend upward. But all the people who are protesting now, they were complaining, well, that's great, the stock market's up, but that only helps the rich. What are they saying now? Oh my God, the stock market's down. That hurts the working man's and the pension funds and this and that. So it's bad if it goes up, it's bad if it goes down. That just tells you people out here scaremongering constantly. And that's what, it's just one of the things that drives me crazy. I look at the Krasensteins. Well, the stock market's up with stock market's up with Trump, bad. Stock market's up with Biden, good. Stock market down with Trump, bad. Oh, wait a minute. What's the common denominator? It's not the direction of the stock market, is it? So, but yeah, there's millions of people out there protesting because the Democrats have their protest machine, that is well-oiled machine. They get people out there protesting. Half of them don't know what they're protesting, but, it's time to protest Trump. Oh, fascist Hitler, Nazi, orange man, bad. We can get millions of people out there. And it's funny because somebody this weekend, as I glanced at Twitter briefly, X, whatever, and someone was talking about, well, man, all these people out here, this is certainly a lot bigger than the Tea Party. The Tea Party? You actually brought up the Tea Party compared to this? Look, the Tea Party was definitely a grassroots ground up. And it is kind of more like the Tea Party and Occupy Wall Street were very similar. But to compare the groups that are going out now, who are the professional protesters, not that they all get paid, but a lot do, and they get all these big NCOs that organize these protests, but and unions and whatever, they have this machine of protest. I mean, these protests are as big as the Black Lives Matter protests, as big as the whatever protest du jour is, the Women's March or whatever. They can get millions of people out because they protest all the time. People on the right don't generally protest. And so the idea that, and honestly, the Tea Party protest wasn't necessarily just people on the right. But it's just wild that you're comparing these protests. Yes, these are the same protesters that were out in 2020 for Black Lives Matter, except for the black people, because a lot of the black people are sitting this out. They're mad at the white liberals for not getting more people out and saying, oh, you should have got more people out to vote. So a lot of the black protesters aren't with them. But it's funny, you look at these protests too, it's a lot of older people, the older liberal hippie people. I'm sure that I have some family members who are out of those protests. But they're the same people who go out and protest anything that is on the right. So they have a professional protest crowd, and they are all out in force because Orange Man bad. So it's just got a couple articles. One, ignore it at our peril. Yes, but let's see. Where's my phone? Hang on. I gotta check the date. Siri, how many days has it been since January 20th, 2025? It'll give me a website. Here we go. It has been 76 days. We're 76 days into the new administration. And look, there are probably this many people out protesting on January 20th, 2017. The same people are out there that were protesting Trump before he even had a full day in office. They are out there, except this time, though, they're not burning and breaking shit as much, at least not that I've seen, other than Teslas. And it's funny because they're also touting, well, see, when a Republican gets mad over something fake like voter fraud or whatever, and they go out and, violence at the Capitol, these protests have been completely nonviolent. Oh, except for the burning Tesla dealerships and the people punching people in the face and the people beating down anti-abortion activists and, the Palestinian protests. The same people that doing the Palestinian protests are joining in on these protests. Again, that's a giant coalition of professional protesters. And what happens too with these Democrat protests, when Republicans protest something, they're out there protesting a specific thing. Okay, a specific thing. So the Tea Party was, government spending and just deficit spending, right? The Capitol protest was about the election. You didn't have this coalition of people, these protests. Oh, you got the global warming people, you got the Women's March people, you got the, anti-oil people, you got this and that. And they all just come out for every protest because it's time to protest. Oh yeah, it's time to protest. Let's have a party and protest. It's they and a lot of them don't even know what they're protesting. It's just Trump bad. Let's protest. So anyway, let's do this. We're going to say hi to everybody and get the show started because I've been just babbling along here. So first in the chat today, of course, our good friend Avocados Diablo gets the bell. In fact, I'll ring it twice just because I don't know if you heard it the first time. Also, good morning, Renee Mayette. What's up? Let's LFG. Mike Savage, Blarg. Kara Soldier, what's up? Reaction Puerto Rico. Attack Alpaca is here. Good morning also to Rockhopper, friend from down under. Nice to see you, my friend. Let's see. Who else is here? Simon Wilkins, thank you. Can they make a decision on whether or not they take an alternative route to school? I'm not sure what that meant. We'll figure it out. Also, good morning, Aaron Meredith. Amazing Disgrace is in the house. JB's here. Good morning, Darren Root. Let's see. Scrolling. Resolute Germ, what's up? Chicago Mike making an appearance, the occasional appearance. Thank you for being here, sir. Also, good morning to GDSOB. What up? Mindy Weinstein. Hello, my friend. How are you? Great to see you in the chat. Appreciate you. another dear friend from high school. In fact, related to our other dear friend from high school. It's her sister. Good morning, Lord Stanhope. And is that everybody? Green Badger Outdoors, Anna Lynn. And that looks like everybody. If I missed you, I'm sorry. I'll catch up later. All right, let's get into some news. Now, today, I find it hard to believe that Osama bin Laden being concerned with global warming, climate change, isn't propaganda. Yeah, somebody had to make that one up. Okay, so today we've got, not surprisingly, but we have an interesting amount of sports news. Oh, wait, let me say thank you to the people who shared the stream, too. Let's go on to X here. Thank you, Tyre Alexander. I don't even see Tyre. Tyre Alexander, the Scourge, dropped another Ric Flair woo in the chat. Thank you. Thank you also to people who retweeted the show. Tyre Alexander, Resolute Germ, Swamp Fox Ghost, Amazing Disgrace, Scribe Light, Dog Thrapple, and Reaction on Puerto Rico. Resolute Germ with the requisite. Oh, is this demo? Now, which pair is this? Is this Demolition? I think this is Demolition, right? Yes, it is. He does the daily wrestling Let's Go with Demolition, which was just, Demolition is a poor man Road Warriors, if you ask me. And then also, what the hell? Again, if you reply to the chat, it's up there at the top. Just reply on X with Let's Go or with a meme or a GIF, which this one's hilarious. Trying to throw some dirt on it, kid. Also, let's see. Keldrick, what is this? Whenever Dave gets a little uppity, I like to remind him he threw a temper tantrum over a toothbrush. Oh, what is this? Is this about Dave who? Oh, David Levitt. Yeah, he's a moron. He's a moron. David Levitt is this guy on, I don't know what he does for real, what his real job is. Award-winning multimedia journalist, bylines in several places. He said, remember when the most scandalous thing our president did was wear a tan suit? That's bait. That is some excellent Twitter bait right there. Because the idea that the only scandalous thing that Barack Obama did was wear a tan suit is such a lie. They love to say, oh, there were no scandals during the Obama administration. Well, a couple Border Patrol agents who were murdered with guns you sold to the cartels may have a different take on that, except they're dead. Among many other things. Same thing. And someone tried to do that shit with Biden too. Oh, Biden had zero scandals during his administration. Except the fact that he didn't actually run his own administration. You know what I'm saying? Everyone knows what I'm saying there, right? Everyone knows Joe Biden was not running his own administration. We all know that now. And the idea that they, if you wouldn't know, what the hell's going on here? That's not what I want. What's going on? Oh, there we go. I'm trying to do my daily fix of the capture advice here and fix that. Why does that always do that? I don't know why and why do they call it white balance? Couldn't it be color balance? Wouldn't that be more politically correct? But anyway, all right, there we go. That works a little better. Still a little weird. Yeah. In fact, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna put a list in the. We're gonna do a little Q&A here. Let's do a quick Q&A. And if you see the scandal you can think of, do not repeat. But here it is. I'm gonna put Obama scandals list here. And so if somebody beats you to your own, you can you don't have to write it twice. But we'll put a list of Obama scandals in the Q&A section today. Okay, that's what we're gonna do, because I know the first one immediately comes to mind is Fast and Furious. That was the most egregious scandal that somehow they got away with, and I don't get how they got away with it. I don't know why Eric Holder is not in jail. And if anything, for contempt of Congress. Because remember, they put a couple of Trump administration people in jail for contempt of Congress. And so then you go, wait a minute. The most famous violator of that not showing up to Congress when they subpoena you is none other than Eric Holder, Mr. Fast and Furious himself. And the fact that he got busted selling those guns and nobody sued him for that either. That's the other thing. Nobody sued him for setting up that program. It's pretty wild if you ask me. So anyway, there you go. So weaponizing the IRS, sure. Ice Shack hooker scandal. Yes, that was me. Sorry. The Ice Shack hooker scandal. The Trump wire. Yeah, keep listening. We'll go through those a little bit later because I, off the top of my head, can't do that. Willie won't leave the show. Good morning, Willie. How you doing? You got a bell for no reason. Just because I was happy to see you. All right, let's get into the news, and so we'll start with the fun stuff. Today is National Beer Day. Yeah, baby. It's National Beer Day. Happy National Beer Day. Today in 1993, it became legal to drink beer again for the first time in 13 years. Celebrate appropriately. I have no idea what that means. Maybe in some country. In 1933. Oh, in 1933. I was thinking... Yeah, I wasn't alive then. Yeah, because the prohibition, so they made this National Beer Day. Happy National Beer Day. Enjoy these 100% real, absolutely authentic photos that we dug up out of lost Freemason treasure found using the Declaration of Independence. Yeah, see, George Washington had a cold one right there, even though they didn't have refrigeration. And there's some of the founding fathers drinking beer. Yeah. It's National Beer Day. That's what we need. All right. What's my favorite beer? It changes often depending where and when I'm drinking it. I love me a good Guinness. I guess my favorite beer in Minnesota is called Castle Danger Cream Ale. That's a really good one. I got away from drinking the pale ales and things like that because the cream ale I really like. No, it's not Bud Light. Gosh darn it. And not Colt 45. That's not funny. It's a little funny. Anyway. All right. So anyway, happy National Beer Day. Moving on. It's also, and by the way, here's the grok summary of National Beer Day. On April 7, 2025, people across the United States celebrating, this was, what? Yeah, today, celebrating the 92nd anniversary of the Cullen-Harrison Act, which allowed the sale of beer during Prohibition. The day was filled with individuals and establishments sharing their love for beer, discussing favorite types, and promoting responsible enjoyment or irresponsible enjoyment. Celebrations include special offers at bars and pubs, sharing of historical facts about the day, and personal stories reflecting on beer culture. The event saw international acknowledgement as well as well wishes from places like the UK, highlighting the global appreciation for beer. Yeah, baby. Anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of memes going on and different people showing themselves enjoying a beer here and there. So there you go. Happy National Beer Day. Moving on. Today's celebrity birthday is the great late Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday, born on this day in 1915. The great jazz songstress and lovely lady. A lot of people celebrating the late great Billie Holiday. So she passed away in July 17, 1959, born this day in 1915. So, which one of my favorite songs was Billie Holiday's song, God Bless the Child, which was later done by, I think, was it Three Dog Night that did a really good version of it? Was it Three Dog Night? Or I think so. Anyway, them that God shall get, them that not shall lose. So the Bible said, and it still is news. Mama may have, and Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own. That's got his own. Great song. Thank you, Darren Root, dropping a deuce in the tip jar. We'll clean that up later. Thank you. Darren Root says, Damian Gershwin. What am I saying, Darren Root? I saw Darren Root. Hi, Darren Root. And good morning, Damian Gershwin. Damian Gershwin says, the Japanese mutate surprisingly well. Hi, P-Dog. I have no idea what that means. Blood, sweat, and tears. It was blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah. So anyway, that was a great version of that song. One of my favorites. Sorry, Damien. I saw Darren Root's name above your name, and I saw that, and then I'm like, oh wait, no, it's Damien. Everything's coming up roses, or everything's computer. What? Everything's computer. Gershwin. Damien. Everything's computer. Gershwin. So anyway, thank you for dropping the deuce in the tip jar. I greatly appreciate it. Here, let's get rid of this. All right, here's a list of some of the things that some Obama scandals: weaponizing the IRS, the ice check hooker scandals. No, that was me. Tyre Alexander with Trump wiretapping. Darren Root beating Cleveland Browns in baseball. No, that's not it. Avocado Sally marrying a dude in a dress should have been a scandal at the time. Good Lord. God. Oh my God. AD, you're killing me. Using the CIA to spy on Trump. Benghazi. Yeah, that was huge. Also, Libya. Overthrowing Gaddafi and turning Libya into a slave auction market. That's not good. Obama re-upping the ability for the Fed to disappear you for any reason should become a scandal. Droning a 16-year-old, this USC student. By the way, the Libya, or was it Libya that was because of a YouTube video that their administration kept lying about that shit? Anyway, there's plenty more. They just pretend that there were no scandals. Anyway, here it is. April 7th, 2025 marks the 110th anniversary of Billie Holiday's birth. Born Eleanor Fagan in Philadelphia, she rose to fame as Lady Day, a legendary jazz vocalist known for her profound emotional depth and innovative vocal techniques. Holiday's career, which began in Harlem nightclubs in 1931, including significant collaborations with jazz icons like Betty Goodman, Teddy Wilson, Count Basie, and Artie Shaw. Her songs, such as Strange Fruit and God Bless the Child, are noted for their social commentary and emotional resonance. Billie Holiday's influence on jazz and her legacy as a voice of truth and strength continue to be celebrated worldwide. Happy birthday, Billie Holiday. Moving on. Lots of sports today, okay? And I'll try to get through this quick because I know we don't talk about sports a lot here. Ella Fitzgerald was a better singer. They're different eras. I'm not comparing singers. They're both great. I'm not going to go there. Yesterday, UConn defeated the South Carolina Gamecocks to win the women's basketball national championship. Congratulations to UConn. It's their 13th or 12th or whatever national title, but their first one since 2016. And they crushed the South Carolina Gamecocks, which is an inappropriate name for a female basketball team, but whatever, by 30-some points. I don't even remember the score. And for the thousands of people who watched, congratulations, you saw an ass whooping. So there, UConn beat the Cocks. Yes. It's funny. Okay, so when I was in college, many of you know that I was a college cheerleader, and I not only was a college cheerleader, but I was really good at it, and I taught cheerleading camps for 4 years. And one of the funniest things that I ever had seen, at least the first year that I was cheering, and we went to the college cheerleading camp, and the University of South Carolina was there, one of the many hundreds of schools that were at the camp, and they had something, I don't remember, it was a sign. Oh no, there were t-shirts, t-shirts that said, "Nobody beats our cocks." And I was just laughing my ass off for the first time I saw that. But anyway, but unfortunately, UConn did beat the Cocks, and there you go. So, and a couple names you'll probably be hearing about. We're not going to talk about it too much, but the players from UConn who got a lot of notoriety. One was Azzy Fudd. And the one thing about Azzy Fudd that was funny is one of the signs that were seen in the crowd, right, or one of the T-shirts said "Fudd around and find out." That was very clever, and she was I think the MVP of the tournament. Also, Sarah Strong, who is their post player, very good player. had like 25 points and 15 rebounds, or 24 points, 15 rebounds. And then our own Minnesota homegrown Paige Beckers, who's the star of UConn's team. And both her and Strong had come back from ACL injuries last year and came back to win a national championship in their senior year. So congratulations to those players from the University of Connecticut. Moving on tonight. Oh, wait a minute. What did I do with the NCAA one? Where the hell did I do with it? Well, anyway, tonight is the men's championship. It'll be at 7:50 Central Time, so 8:50 Eastern Time. I think on CBS. University of Houston versus the University of Florida, who hasn't been in a Final Four in 19 years. So it should be a good game. What's interesting is I watched some of the women's Final Four. I did watch the championship game because we were at a bar yesterday and it was playing right above our head. One of the reasons it's tough sometimes to watch women's basketball versus men's basketball, and that maybe this shouldn't be a statement, but both semifinal games in the women's championships were like 30-point blowouts. And then the championship game was a 30-point blowout. And for some people, unless you really like basketball, it's hard to watch a game like that. Now, I really like basketball, plus I've been watching Paige Beckers. She played against my teams when I was coaching girls AAU, 10 whatever years ago when she was like a young kid, and the kid was amazing as a player. So I had an interest in just watching her play for a national championship finally, and so my sincerest congratulations to Paige Beckers. But she would kill us every time we got anywhere near that stupid AAU team that she played on, North Tartan. They were so good, and we were not that good. So anyway, and then tonight, and also in sports news, another sports news thing. There's two more, and I'll get out of this, okay? Alex Ovechkin. If you're a hockey fan, yesterday Alex Ovechkin passed Wayne Gretzky's career goal scoring record with his 885th goal. What's interesting is he did it in 895 goals. He beat it in the exact same number of games played as Wayne Gretzky. Now, a lot of people thought that was a record that would never be beaten, but it has been. And then also, but here's the thing about that. If you're not familiar with hockey, they obviously have this like point system, and just you get a point for assist too. Like, I don't know how they use it, but that record will never be touched because Wayne Gretzky had more goals and assists combined by far than any other player. And even Ovechkin's only has like 200 assists in 895 goals, whereas Gretzky had like 1,400 assists or something like that. It's some crazy number. So anyway, congratulations to Alex Ovechkin. Now, some people are distraught because Ovechkin is Russian. You cannot believe it. By the way, Netflix is going to do the Alex Ovechkin story, and this is the actor that would play Alex Ovechkin. There's some great memes along the way here. Here's a picture of Kash Patel with Wayne Gretzky and Alex Ovechkin. But anyway, congratulations, Alex Ovechkin from the New York. And the other part too is he plays for the New York. Does he play for the Islanders? I think, who are contending for the NHL championship. We're going to be in the playoffs at least. Not like he broke the record while wallowing in the bottom of dregs of his career at some shitty team. He's actually doing it on a scoring 40 goals in a season in a year that they could very well win the NHL this year. So, and then the final sports story, which will be brief. It's Masters Week. Now, if you like golf, you are excited. And if you don't like golf, you're like, oh, whatever. I like golf, so I'm going to mention Masters Week. It's one of the great tournaments of all time. Obviously one of the four major tournaments in golf, and so fire up. It was interesting. They have a thing now. Like, I don't know if any of you remember what punt, pass, and kick if you were a kid and you played football or whatever. Or even if you didn't play football, punt, pass, kick was a big thing when you were a kid. And I remember participating in punt, pass, and kick. I made it to the state finals and lost when I was like 10, I think. But they have a thing in golf now called drive, putt, and chip. And they had it televised yesterday from Augusta, where they have young kids who they have long drive, they have a chipping contest, getting close to the pin, and then putting. And I didn't even know they had that. It was fascinating to watch little kids do this little putt. What is it? Drive, chip, and putt contest. That was on national TV yesterday, so that was fun. All right, let's move on. Let's go to the main. I want to go to the main topic right away today because sometimes I have a bad habit of not getting into it fast enough. So we're going to start with this. Now, this judge, I don't know which district he's in. We'll read the article here, but apparently this Judge Bozeman, who is the one who was blocking some of the Trump deportations, also ordered he was involved in ordering the Tren de Aragua members back to the U.S. You know, they had him on a flight to Ecuador, and he was ordering him back, and they didn't do it. So he had him in court again. And apparently, as we probably could have just guessed, Judge Bozeman probably should have recused himself from this case, and in fact, may have sought out this case and maneuvered to get himself appointed to them. He's been on several Trump cases that are dubious. So let's just go through a couple articles here. One's in the Daily Caller and one is in PJ Media. First, this one. This judge should have recused himself, according to legal experts. U.S. District Court Judge James Boasberg. Oh, did I say Bozeman? Boasberg, excuse me. Boasberg. What? Wait. I'm sorry. I just glanced at the chat. First, good morning, K-Show. Good morning, Kirsten. How you doing? No avocados diabli. It is not like marry, fuck, kill. No, these are children. We're not playing that. You're so wrong. You're so wrong. And Damien, I wish I had more homosexual gangbangers in my neighborhood. Oh my goodness. Anyway, all right, here we go. U.S. District Court James Boasberg continues to be a thorn in the side of the Trump administration's effort to deport gangbangers. Legal experts have begun to raise questions about his handling of the case. The Obama-appointed judge in March blocked President Trump from using wartime authority to send suspected Tren de Aragua gangbangers to a mega prison in El Salvador, prompting incredible pushback from the president himself as the challenge to the deportations play out in court. Some legal experts, only some, have argued that Boasberg should recuse himself from the case entirely, while others say he appears to be making policy from the bench. And that's the bigger problem. He has no business making policy from the bench. Critics have pointed to the fact that Boasberg's daughter, Catherine Boasberg, works for an organization whose founder openly celebrated her father's decision to halt the deportations. Under Canon 3, C1 of the Code of Conduct for United States Judges, it states that judges must disqualify themselves from a case in which the judge's impartiality might reasonably be questioned, according to Hans van Spakovsky, a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, as he told the Daily Caller. Quote, given his daughter works directly for an organization that supports illegal aliens, opposes deportation of aliens, and has voiced its support for Boasberg's action in this very case, the impartiality of his judgment is obviously open to be reasonably questioned. By the way, I think he also donates to that particular organization. He should have recused himself given his immediate family's involvement in advocacy for illegal immigration. The debate began on March 15th when Trump officially invoked the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, a seldom used wartime authority, to expeditiously arrest and deport Tren de Aragua members. Boasberg quickly issued a temporary block on the flights and ordered any deportation flights in the air to turn around. Unfortunately, they were not in U.S. airspace. However, 3 planes carrying 238 suspected and confirmed Tren de Aragua gangbangers and 23 MS-13 gang members managed to land in the El Salvador International Airport. The Trump administration immediately ripped Boasberg for the decision. Pam Bondi said, tonight, a D.C. trial judge supported Tren de Aragua terrorists over the safety of Americans. This order disregards the well-established authority regarding President Trump's power, and it puts the public and law enforcement at risk. In a court filing the following Monday, the Justice Department appealed the order and called for Boasberg to be reassigned. The administration further ripped the judge for highly unusual and improper procedures and accused the court of a hasty public inquiry into sensitive national security matters involving a criminal syndicate. If a president doesn't have the right to throw murderers and other criminals out of our country because a radical left lunatic judge wants to assume the role of president, then our country is in very big trouble and destined to fail, Trump posted on Truth Social. Questions over the possible conflicts of interest arose after Boasberg's family connections to a liberal organization service. His daughter, Catherine, works for Partners in Justice, a nonprofit group based in New York City that provides client advocates to public defenders. The group removed her biography from its website after Boasberg was assigned to the... Oh, that's convenient. They removed her name from the website after her father was assigned to the Aliens Enemy Act case, according to the New York Post. But an archive of the page was saved. Before landing at Partners for Justice, Catherine worked for the Center for Justice Innovation, a left-wing organization that advocates for racial justice in the court system. Emily Galvin Almanza, the founder and executive director of Partners in Justice, said Boasberg's decision to block the wartime deportation was done, quote, rightly, and she previously took to social media to rip the Lake and Riley Act, a law mandating federal immigration authorities to detain illegal immigrants who commit theft-related crimes. The Code of Conduct for U.S. judges makes clear that judges must recuse themselves from the case in which a judge's impartiality might be reasonably questioned, including instances when a child of a judge is known to be the judge to have an interest that could be substantially affected by the outcome of the proceeding. Now, this is very much like that case in New York where the judge's daughter was a Democratic fundraiser fundraising off of the case that her father was in the bench for. That would be the 34 felony case. However, there is a debate over whether Boasberg fits this description. Really? There's a debate? Well, let's see. Quote, generally, the employment of an adult child of a judge does not mandate recusal, even if the adult child is employed by a law firm representing a party in the case. Richard Painter. Oh, my God. Do you know who Richard Painter is? He's a lunatic. He's a fucking lunatic. He ran for president the first time Trump ran. Oh, my God. You got to look up Richard Painter. Anyway, Richard Painter, a law professor for the University of Minnesota, said to the Daily Caller, however, if the adult child is at all involved in the representation of a party, recusal of the judge is generally required. Well, wait a minute. Okay, those are conflicting statements. Tell me if these two statements are conflicting. Generally, the employment of an adult child of a judge does not mandate recusal, even if the adult child is employed by a law firm representing the party in the case. Oh, I see. However, if the adult child is at all involved in the representation of a party, recusal of the judge is generally required. Well, I would say that that's bullshit. Yeah, adult offspring, whatever. You know what I mean. That's what he said. Now, although nonprofits that don't provide legal representation do not represent parties, I would apply the same rule, Painter continued. The involvement of an adult child's employee in a matter is not sufficient grounds for recusal, but the involvement of the adult child herself is. Appointed by the bench by President Barack Obama in 2011, Boasberg has since presided over a number of high-profile court cases over the years, including those involving the Trump administration. Now, and it's funny because he's gotten 4 cases all very recently in what's supposed to be is a random selection of judges. And I think the D.C. Circuit has like 138 judges, and just by coincidence, he's gotten 4 major Trump cases lately. Good morning, Selected Boy, by the way. Yeah, and boy. On the honorable mention list of favorite Canadians, Special Can Acid. In addition to the Aliens Enemies Act case, the 62-year-old judge is also ruling over a lawsuit challenging the top government official's use of signal to discuss sensitive military operations in Yemen. That is a bullshit case. Hello, Trippy Liberty. What's up, my brother? Boasberg ripped the administration for allowing the deportation flights on March 15th to continue on their destination in El Salvador, ostensibly in defiance of his order, and has demanded the DOJ answer a litany of questions regarding the flights. The administration has pointed out that the judge's written order did not get released until after the flights were already over international waters. While hesitant to declare whether Boasberg has any conflicts of interest in the deportation case, Matt O'Brien, a former immigration judge, questioned the immense scope of his ruling. The real problem with Judge Boasberg's ruling isn't any kind of bias. Rather, it is that in this particular case, he rendered a decision which appears to have been intended to effectuate a specific policy outcome. O'Brien, who now serves as the Director of Investigations for the Immigration Reform Law Institute, however, his job isn't to create policy. That duty belongs to the executive branch and Congress, he said. Instead, Judge Boasberg was charged with applying the relevant law to the facts of the case. Rather than doing his job, he engaged in judicial activism, making policy from the bench. And that's the problem right there. Similar to O'Brien, the administration and other Republicans have voiced consternation over the level of authority a single district court judge is able to wield over an entire administrative branch of government. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, a top ally of the president, introduced legislation in March that calls for limiting federal court orders to parties directly before the court. If passed and signed into law, such a move would essentially squash universal injunctions and rein in the scope of judicial activism. So that's going through both houses right now, and they've been having hearings on that. And for some reason, look, both sides of the aisle on this have shown what I call it hypocrisy or duplicity, whichever you prefer, because when those rulings go the way they like them, they don't like the judicial activism. When they go the way they like them, they're like, oh, this is great. But there's some differences in these like a single judge in one district in California calling it a national injunction on everything rather than just on the case he's looking at. That's where the problem seems to lie. Oh, duplicitous hypocrisy. Perfect. That is perfect. So there you go. All right. So there's a little more in that article you can read yourself. But then the other one here, though, this is even more interesting. So apparently this judge has been caught red-handed in the setup against Trump in bombshell revelations. Now this, you got to decide for yourself if these are bombshell revelations. Is this what it is? But apparently Julie Kelly, who writes for American Greatness and follows all of these court cases very closely, seems to have found some things in a transcript that shows that Boasberg may have been trying to get these cases in front of his bench so he could be his own little judicial activist that everyone thinks he's being. He needs a toupee. Yeah, well, I don't know, maybe. A bombshell transcript obtained by conservative journalist Julie Kelly exposes how Judge James Boasberg deliberately positioned himself to target President Trump's administration over deportation of criminal illegal aliens. The shocking revelations demonstrate how far the activist judiciary will go to obstruct Trump's legal immigrant enforcement efforts. Kelly's analysis of Thursday's hearing transcript reveals Boasberg calculated moves to interfere with executive authority. The judge, who claims his assignment to the case was random, actually knew the case was coming to him. Quote, I have just received the purchase transcript from Thursday's hearing before Jeb Boasberg. Jeb? That's not his name. Is it Jeb Boasberg? Anyway, lots of good stuff, especially as I develop a fuller timeline of what went down behind the scenes on March 15th, she wrote on X. Despite the claim that cases are, quote, randomly assigned, end quote, what she found in the transcript shows he already knew the case was coming and had planned accordingly. He wanted this case. He wanted to stop the deportations. And most importantly, he wanted to set a contempt trap for the Trump administration. Kelly explained in a devastating thread exposing the judge's machination. The transcript shows Boasberg's true agenda, asserting control over the executive branch's constitutional authority on immigration and foreign policy. He became incensed that the Trump administration dared to enforce the Aliens Enemy Act without first seeking his blessing. Boasberg apparently expected the White House to hold off on deportations until he ruled on the ACLU-led class action push to cover all illegal immigrants under the AEA. This is not judicial restraint or a careful balance of powers, Kelly noted. This is Boasberg giving away the notion that the executive branch should wait for approval from the judicial branch before taking action on matters clearly under the purview of the presidency, including foreign policy and diplomacy. She continued, Boasberg knew throughout the day that ICE was rounding up the TDA gangbangers covered by the proclamation, so he rushed not only to convert the initial lawsuit into a class, but entered a second temporary restraining order prohibiting their removal and absurdly demanding the return of planes carrying the illegals that were already in the sky. So she's showing, she has, let's see what this is here. We're going to look at this. Do I already have this open? No, I don't. So in this first one, what does it say? Let's see what it says. This is the court in one of these cases, the judge. Well, only because I happened to be available at blank when I was alerted to this, was at 7:25 on Saturday morning, only because I was available and could review first the pseudonymous motion, which I had to review as the chief judge, and then the case was then transferred to me or assigned to me. And so it was a good fortune that they something. And then she's got down here, the courts were open and available to hear relief, I think is the reason, yes. And he says, well, the courts weren't open, but the docket plaintiff could still file electronically, and yes, I was available. Almost like he made himself available, like he wanted this case. There's more, but I'm not going to go through all of it. So let's see. So Boasberg knew throughout the day that we did that. Most disturbing was Boasberg's inappropriate questioning during Thursday's hearing, where he demanded to know which Trump officials were listening to the March 15th emergency session. This egregious overreach reveals his determination to target administration officials. Kelly also revealed that Judge Boasberg's vendetta against Trump led him not only to convert an ACL lawsuit into a class action covering all illegal aliens affected by Trump's proclamation, but also issued the absurd temporary restraining order demanding the return of planes already carrying deportees, such as PJ Media previously reported. The Trump administration did not comply with, as the plane carrying these gang member illegal aliens was over international waters and thus outside the jurisdiction of U.S. legal system. This is what judicial activism looked like in 2025, unelected judges trying to handcuff a duly elected president from protecting American citizens. Boasberg's transcript exposes how the activist judiciary will bend over backwards to obstruct Trump's lawful efforts to enforce immigration law and secure our borders. So, let's see. So anyway, if you follow PJ Media or Legal Insurrection or American Greatness or the Daily Caller, you'll be updated on a lot of these situations. But anyway, so in this case, the dude up there, it's interesting because his hair is gray in that one, but in the one in the picture here it's very dark. This particular judge has had 4 different cases somehow miraculously all assigned to him regarding Trump all things Trump. And it's just part of the lawfare that we've been watching over the last several years. All right, back into some more news, a couple things that you're going to see a lot about. So the other day, last week, we talked about this kid, Carmelo Anthony, who stabbed Austin Metcalf, and Austin Metcalf died. And let's see, I don't know why I had this first. Well, I didn't plan on doing this first, but oh, Bill Clinton. There you go. That's not it. Well, here, let's just this. So apparently they've been crowdfunding for the kid who stabbed the other kid. And this is kind of pissing me off as how this is playing out on X and on the internet, where it's turned into a big race thing because Carmelo Anthony is black, the Austin is white. Now the kid stabbed the other kid, and I really having a hard time with that. But they may have overcharged him. In my opinion, they're overcharging him. They're charging him with first-degree murder rather than manslaughter or whatever the charge would be when you have a fight and you kill somebody and it's wrongful death. So, as details have come out about this case, now we're finding out that the instigator of this incident was the kid who was killed. Apparently, the one kid was under the tent of the other school's track team, which isn't unusual, apparently, that, sometimes if there's friends on different teams, they will be, they'll go talk to each other under each other's tents. And the Austin kid, who's deceased, demanded that this kid get out of under their tent, and there was a bunch of other kids around him. And the kid with the knife in his bag said, "Make me." And so Austin grabbed his bag and started pulling him out of the area. And now here's the part where this is obviously there should be some charge. He pulls a knife and ends up in the scuffle stabbing him. Why you have a knife in a school grounds and a track meet, I do not know. And there was no attempt to, diffuse or whatever, but at least that we know of. This is so messy on the internet, because people taking sides in this based on race rather than the facts, it seems like. And, one kid had no business trying to remove a kid from where he was. The other kid had no business ending the fight with a knife. Some people are trying to compare this to Kyle Rittenhouse and saying, "Oh, well, you're fired if Kyle Rittenhouse kills somebody." Completely different situation. Okay, this is not Kyle Rittenhouse retreating from people and some guy trying to grab his gun and other people trying to kill him beat the fuck out of him with other stuff, and he shot them. Not the same. This is some high school scuffle over someone sitting in the wrong place. And frankly, I'm embarrassed by the talk on this. Let the facts play out. Apparently, someone says there's video on this. It would seem that for the fact that he had a knife in the bag and pulled it out and stabbed the kid, even if he's beating him up, probably requires some charges. But a lot of people are saying this was self-defense. Self-defense of what? Were you in fear for your life because someone was pulling on your book bag and tried to drag you out of the wrong tent? So anyway, I brought it up just because it's trending, but I think the whole thing, the way people are playing on it, is bullshit. Turning this into some race shit. Had it been two white kids doing this or two black kids doing this, you probably wouldn't have this fight. But boy, oh boy, it's just disappointing. So that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm leaving the thread here. You can see the reactions, the way people are talking about it on X, and it's sad to me that we go through this in the current year. That's a current year argument. Here's a good one. Breaking, and this is from 2 men will face each other for a women's championship title at the Ultimate Pool Women's Pro Series in Wigan, UK. Harriet Haynes and Lucy Smith, both trans-identified males, beat all the female competitors to take the spots in the women's final event. Yay. Actually, they're a bunch of clowns. So anyway, and then update, Chris Harriet Haynes ultimately beat his fellow male competitor for the women's championship title, seizing the $1,800 pound prize. To which some question, people in the comments on this question. Well, first of all, Errol Weber, who's normally he was a conservative dude who ran for something, I don't remember. 2 points to be made. First, men should compete in men's sports. Women should compete in women's sports. Second, why is pool segregated by gender? Same for bowling and chess. Well, look, there's someone had a good answer to this, because there's not as many women who participate in some of these sports, and to have a women's division, you would want to have a women's only division versus a open division, which is the male division. Women are free to compete in male divisions, but when he said bowling, probably because there's a strength factor and just the size of the ball factor that in bowling that makes it different for men and women. Whereas if you can bowl with a 16-pound ball that, will and get more spin on the ball, there's just natural men's strength can do that. There is an advantage in bowling. But anyway, someone here says it's fair to say that the athlete who comes in second to a trans woman is thereby a real woman. What? I don't know what that means. So yeah, it's fascinating. Someone again, yeah, I don't care about this one. Same for darts, bowling, chess, and a few others. No need to be gender specific here. In what way is there an advantage? Well, in bowling specifically, I don't know if is there advantage in darts, chess? Well, maybe because in chess the vast majority of the top ranked players are male. I don't know why. Because again, if you look at bell curves, sure, the men at the highest levels on a bell curve are much higher than women, but the women have a flatter angle where there's more women across a spectrum of women who are at this level, but the men are at this level. So I don't know. You can tell why bowling is segregated just by watching professionals, men and women bowling. Yeah, it's just how it is. And again, women's divisions are meant for female competitors, not male competitors. Whether you call your woman or not, you still need to be a female to compete against females. It's segregated by sex, not your imagined gender in today's terms. So there you go. Other things trending. Black Monday is trending. Apparently the stock market's supposed to be crashing today. But some people are going to call it Orange Monday or White Monday, just, because you can't just let something be called anything. But people are saying, I swear if the market crashes tomorrow and it isn't called Orange Monday for the rest of time, I'll lose my shit. None of this Black Money 2.0 crap. Whatever. Who cares what you think? But basically because of the tariffs. Now here is David Patrick Bett. Black Monday incoming ? Unsolicited advice before the market opens tomorrow. Watch this before the bell rings. Let's take some advice from David Patrick Bett. He's got whatever his PDB podcast, and generally smart dude. Let's see what he says.
Some experts are saying tomorrow Monday is going to be Black Monday. Like market's going to drop. It's going to be nasty, and it may. So I got some unsolicited advice I want to share with you.
Buy!
A couple things. When COVID happened, I was in LA getting ready for a board meeting. I land, we get to Beverly Hills Hilton. Wife is there, kids are there. We thought we may as well go to Universal Studios for, having a good time with the family. All of a sudden, That's the day where Rudy Gobert gives COVID to Donovan Mitchell. Disney closed down. Universal closed
Wait a
down.
minute.
NHL
Did he say Rudy Gobert, the center for the Timberwolves? Okay.
shut down. We're in LA. We're like, what the hell is going on? We got on a plane. I said, babe, we can't stay. We got to go back. Everybody canceled the board meeting. We flew back to Dallas, dropped our family, came back to the office.
Why do I say his name in that order? Because I said it wrong. Patrick David Bett.
Was at the office till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And the one thing I studied was the following. My entire business insurance is face-to-face. I have to sit down in front of you to sell you. So imagine you got 15, 20,000 insurance agents nationwide. None of us know how to sell on Zoom. We've never done that before, right? So it was a big disruption to our business. Every one of my guys was frightened of what's about to happen.
Okay.
I stayed there. First thing I looked at was the following. In the history of America, I looked at every pandemic that took place, top 10, worst pandemic on how the market performed. And it shows, you know, the collapse and all this other stuff, nasty. Out of 10 pandemics that we've had, 9 of them, whatever the drop was that was drastic, within 6 months, it recovers and goes above and beyond. The only one that it didn't recover for 18 months was the AIDS pandemic that we had. So what's the point here? When the market tanked, and it went to like 18,000 Dow, I don't know what it was, but some number like that, one of my good friends was so afraid of where the market was going to be going that he took 100% of his money out of his investments. We're talking 10 million goes down to 5 million. He takes the whole thing out.
Crazy.
3 months after he takes the whole thing out, everything goes back to normal price that it was before and beyond. But he lost $5 million. So what's the moral of the story?
Don't panic. That's the
tomorrow's
moral.
Going to be black. If it's Black Monday tomorrow, I'm losing tens of millions of dollars tomorrow, and purely investment-wise. But if it is, pump the brakes. Not your financial advisor. Seek counsel. I got to put that disclaimer out there.
Yep,
Pump
definitely.
the brakes. Don't make an emotional decision. If you're a passive investor,
Buy
not an
AI
active.
stocks.
Active is somebody that watches it 24/7 and is
Buy
managing
AI
everything
stocks,
that's
something.
going on. But if you're passive, 401k, mutual funds, stocks, bonds, stuff like that you have, that all of us, oh my God, Bitcoin went to this, Ethereum went to this, look at the
ride.
Tesla, look at Max 7, look at what are we going to do? Just pump the brakes. This tariff situation is going to come about, and it's going to go. You have to know one thing that the president knows, and every CEO of every job knows. If the market goes into shits, guess what?
It's going to
The other
rebound.
party's taking over midterms. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying to you. So every leader knows when you come in and you make some drastic changes, it better work or else the other side's going to get a job. They know that. Trust me. So having said that, long term, future looks bright. Short term,
You gotta
only the
wear
paranoid
shades.
survive. Whatever you do, try to tap into your ability to reason. Not emotion, but logic and reason. If you do that, we're all going to be fine. But I will tell you, we are about to go through some bumpy. This is why I call 2025 the year of surprises, because I knew this was coming up. And I knew if the president was going to do what he said he was going to do with tariffs, oh, lots of enemies. And many of the enemies he was going to create were going to be domestic. People who lose money. And a lot of people have lost money so far in 2025. But I don't want you to be surprised tomorrow if Monday's a crazy day with the market. That's why I call 2025 the year of surprises. And if you know one thing, if you've seen Tom Cruise's movie Cocktails,
What?
which is my favorite Tom Cruise movie.
No,
There's a lot of great ones.
no, that movie's
Because
terrible.
I bet you can never
I'm not listening to you anymore. If that's your favorite movie, that movie was terrible. His bar flare sucked. It was lame as fuck. Okay, anyway, you get the idea. Point is, panicking probably is never the best way to go. And you know, there's people out there even saying that if you pick this, never mind. The hell is that? Let's see. Dan Kramer warning that of a black money style market crash in money. That means one thing and one thing only. It's time for Americans to buy. That's right. Yeah, people who know what they're doing aren't gonna buy this. But anyway, that's trending. So is Orange Monday because people want to call it Orange Monday. Let's see if they're calling that in 6 months, out of curiosity. Sam Harris is trending. Apparently Sam Harris said something that got people on the right mad, and because he said some shit about Joe Rogan. And Sam Harris seems to only be relevant when he's talking about somebody who is relevant, because let's see. Let's just listen to what Sam Harris said.
Joe is a genuinely good guy who wants good things for people. But he is honestly in over his head on so many topics of great consequence, right? When he brings...
Oh, you mean when he lets people come on and talk?
Someone on to just shoot the shit about, how the Holocaust is not what you think it was, right? Maybe Churchill's the bad guy in World War II.
Is that Tucker?
Or he's got Dave Smith, being treated...
No, Tucker did not say that. But anyway,
as an expert on Israel and Palestine and the history of that conflict, and the moral emergency that came to the world's attention on October 7th, and what is appropriate to think in the aftermath of all of that, right? Dave Smith is the only reason why anyone knows what
he said about Dave
thinks
Smith
about any of this is very likely because Joe had him on multiple times to talk about it, right?
Well, Sam, you've been on Rogan, and who listens to you anymore? Seriously, I mean, when do you get attention? When you talk about Rogan or you talk about Dave Smith? So, Pot Kettle.
He's a pure misinformation artist, and on top of many others.
If you didn't believe what I believe, he's a misinformation artist. And I'm not a fan of Dave Smith necessarily. I don't care. But it's like, I'm more than willing to listen to anyone who talks about it and form my own opinion. But if you're going to say, oh, he's a misinformation artist, well, are you a misinformation artist, Sam? You say some stupid shit too sometimes. So this is interesting.
And when Joe talks to someone like Trump or Tucker Carlson or
who I don't agree with, anyone I don't
lie
like,
as freely as they breathe, and doesn't push back against any of their lies. In fact, in Trump's case, really fairly energetically helped put his lies into the most plausible possible shape. It is irresponsible. I mean, it is directly harmful. Our society is as politically.
So don't let him talk. Don't have him on. Don't let people decide. I'm going to decide for you what the lies are.
Mattered as it is, in part because of how Joe has interacted with information. Again, I don't think this is. I think a lot of this is inadvertent, or maybe all of it's inadvertent. But it is also avoidable, right? He could actually take the responsibility that really is his to take at this point to get his facts straight and have someone other than Jamie there riding shotgun with him. Where he could have two brilliant journalists. Who could he have?
Brilliant journalists.
Full-time job.
Because journalists never lie. Journalists are always right, Sam. Oh my God.
$1 a year just to sit there and do and make sure he doesn't put his foot in his mouth in a colossally irresponsible way. Right? I mean, it's like it would be very simple to do a better job.
Sam needs a job at NPR. So anyway, Dave Smith mentioned this. Where is it? Where Dave Smith? God, Sad's talking about how Sam's very, very mad at Joe Rogan. Where's the Dave Smith one? Oh no, this thing changed. So anyway, Smith made it. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Sam's correct. The only reason that anybody even knows who I am is because of Joe Rogan. I should have earned it the old-fashioned way by having my mother create the Golden Girls. Clown. And some people say, to be fair, the only reason I know Sam Harris is because of Joe Rogan. So yeah, it's one of those pot kettle things. Unless you spend a lot of time on the internet in the intellectual, supposedly intellectual atheist circles, you wouldn't know who the fuck Sam Harris was. Hello, Linda Hunter. What's up? And Aaron Meredith. So anyway, that's funny. Moving on. Bill Ackman's trending. He's a Trump supporter who wrote a screed here. Not a screed, just his own opinion and whatever. about the Trump tariffs, and he's upset right now because he's in that panic mode that Patrick David Betts said not to be in. He said Bill Ackman says the country is 100 behind the president on fixing a global system of tariffs that has disadvantaged the country. But business is a confidence game, and confidence depends on trust. President Trump has elevated the tariff issue to the most important geopolitical issue in the world, and he has gotten everyone's attention. So far, so good. And yes, other nations have taken advantage of the U.S. By protecting their home industries at the expense of millions of our jobs and economic growth in our country. But by placing massive and disproportionate tariffs on our friends and our enemies alike, and thereby launching a global economic war against the whole world at once, we are in the process of destroying confidence in our country as a trading partner, as a place to do business, and as a market to invest capital. The president has an opportunity to call a 90-day timeout, negotiate and resolve unfair asymmetric tariff deals, and induce trillions of dollars of new investment in our country. If, on the other hand, on April 9th, we launch an economic nuclear war on every country in the world, business investment will grind to a halt, consumers will close their wallets and pocketbooks, and we will severely damage our reputation with the rest of the world. That will take years and potentially decades to rehabilitate. What CEO and what board of directors will be comfortable making large, long-term economic commitments in our country in the middle of an economic nuclear war? I don't know one who will do so. When the markets crash, new investment stops, consumers stop spending money, and businesses have no choice but to curtail investment and fire workers. And it is not just the big companies that will suffer. Small and medium-sized businesses and entrepreneurs will experience a much greater pain. Almost no business can pass through an overnight massive increase in their cost to their customers, and that's true even if they have no debt. And unfortunately, there is a massive amount of leverage in the system. Business is a confidence game. The president is losing confidence of the business leaders around the globe, and consequences for our country and the millions of our citizens who have supported the president, in particular low-income consumers who are already under a huge amount of economic stress, are going to be severely negative. This is not what we voted for. The president has an opportunity on Monday to call a timeout and have the time to execute on fixing an unfair tariff system. Alternatively, we are headed for a self-induced economic nuclear winter, and we should start hunkering down, make cooler heads prevail. Now, people responding to this are a lot. Now, let's just get some of the ones under here, and then there's a few that have on the left who are just salivating at this. Colin Wright, a recession will severely overshadow anything he does the remainder of his term and will likely hurt the Republican Party for a decade or more. Really hoping he takes his advice. My confidence is low. Someone here, sounds like you're not thinking about the U.S. working class future because your portfolio took short-term hit. Am I correct? That's an interesting take. Great explanation of your point of view on this. I like the 90-day delay to allow real negotiations, but I would add a carrot to it. Offer better deals to countries that act fast and negotiate and settle. They will be promised the best deals. Snooze, you lose. Agreed. I said this a few days ago. So here's what's funny here. Not funny, I should say, but just some of the Democrats who've posted this are people who are 100% Trump critical. Joe Walsh, this is not what we voted for. Respectfully, Bill Ackman, you voted for a cruel, ignorant madman, utterly incapable of telling the truth. This is exactly what you voted for. Bitch, please, Joe. You need to get off it. He's all Trump all the time. Eric Swalwell, if you enabled him in becoming president, may I suggest you shut the fuck up? No, I did. I voted for him, and I'm still not regretting my vote. And yes, there's going to be some short-term pain, or there may be even some longer-term pain in righting the fucking ship, because we cannot continue to spend and go through this with this country to our detriment. Okay, it's not just the trade, it's the spending, it's the government overreach, the constant government intervention, the constant regulation, the constant, all these fucking agencies that half of them are unnecessary. Again, put on your mask before you help others around you put on their mask. So here's, imagine being worth billions, backing the most irresponsible person in the country for president, seeing it all go up in smoke quite predictably 3 months in, and then writing this nonsense. The only thing I ever want to see from Ackman is an apology. Go fuck yourself. This is crazy. Oh, here's the one though. Remember when Robert Reich, the appropriately named Robert Reich, wrote this? The richest 0.1% own 17% of stocks. The richest 1% own 50% of stocks. The bottom 50% own 0.7% of stocks. Repeat after me. The stock market is not the economy. Oh, well, I'm sure Robert Reich is probably singing a different tune right now, bitching about the stock market because he's one of those 0.1%. So anyway, in that vein, apparently there are 50 countries who have already decided that they're going to negotiate the tariff strategy with us. Now, I don't know if that's an accurate number. That's a number that we got from the White House, but I'm going to go with at least some of those are true. We know India has already made noise about going to a zero tariff system between the two countries. So that's a large source of our manufacturing. In fact, before China took it over, when we gave them, what do we call it, preferred trade status, India was where a lot of the shit was made. And then somehow China took that over. Ackman's critiques Lutnick's bond strategy and economic impact. Also, recent statements by Bill Ackman have sparked discussions about economic implications of Howard Lutnick's investment strategy. Ackman has pointed out that Lutnick and his firm Cantor and Fitzgerald are long bonds, suggesting that they profit from economic downturns. This has led to debates about the suitability of Lutnick's position as Secretary of Commerce, given his firm's financial interests. Now, if that's the case, and that's in this article right here, or this summary from Grok, yeah, you got to have a little concern on that too. And here's Ackman saying, I just figured out why Howard Lutnick is indifferent to the stock market and the economy crashing. He and Cantor are long bonds. He profits when our economy implodes. It's a bad idea to pick a Secretary of Commerce whose firm is leveraged, long fixed income. It's an irreconcilable conflict of interest. So if there is evidence that is the case, then maybe Lutnick should go away. Okay, I'm not going to argue that point. Let's see. China's trending because, China's always trending.
China is asshole.
Couple things that I noted here was this first one. Why does the U.S. allow a Chinese state-owned retailer to operate stores on 85 U.S. military bases? The GNC stores give them unprecedented access to the personal information of hundreds of thousands of U.S. soldiers and troop movements. This is downright stupid. So anyway, I didn't know GNC was owned by China. Harbin Pharmaceutical Group, a Chinese state-owned company, operates 85 GNC, which is General Nutrition, if you're not familiar with that, stores on U.S. military bases, giving it unusual access to the personal habits and movements of hundreds of thousands of American service members. Yeah, that's probably not smart. Maybe we should end that relationship. I didn't know GNC was still in business either. Also, J.D. Vance says we must take back every piece of U.S. land controlled by China. Not a single blade of grass should be theirs. Yeah, I don't know how that happened, where China has been allowed to buy up a shit ton of U.S. farmland. And they tend to, it's funny because just coincidentally, they tend to buy it in interesting proximity to U.S. military bases. Just go figure. Let's see here. Someone says, let's see. We are not going to lose $1 trillion for the privilege of buying pencils from China. Okay, this is what Trump remarks on Asian markets futures.
They have to pay tariffs because otherwise we have a surplus, and they have a surplus with us that is not sustainable.
Mr. President.
And we're talking about $1 trillion. You know that, right? We're not going to lose $1 trillion for the privilege of buying pencils from China.
Okay. It's just one of those statements that drive the left crazy. Let's see. There's one other here. China. We must stop eating meat because cow farts are hurting the weather. Meanwhile, in China. Let's see. how do you think COVID got here? It leaked from a lab in China. Man, it leaked from motherfucking Fauci. Wait a minute. This is from the Breakfast Club. This is funny. Let's just listen to him say it in real time, or not real time, whatever.
COVID was planned. You see they goddamn getting rid of his ass, huh?
Who, COVID?
No. The motherfucker.
Fauci?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Oh, you don't want to talk about that, do you?
No, I mean, I don't know if they
So
get
you
rid
don't
of
think Fauci put COVID,
no.
drop this shit in here? How you think COVID got here?
It leaked from a lab in China.
Hey, at least Charlemagne agrees it leaked from a lab in China. How'd that lab get to start researching that shit, though? Grants from the NIH to that company in Virginia, doing the research in Wuhan, the researchers in Wuhan, fucking up. We funded it, so to speak.
Man, leaked from motherfucking Fauci.
Yeah, I could have been a.
How Fauci get all that money for nothing?
Could it have been a biological warfare? Yes, but it came from a lab in China, the Wuhan lab.
It came from Fauci.
You think he was in the crib?
Hey, bro, he made a lot of money off that.
I don't know.
The test and everything. Bro, is the COVID test really real? I'm just asking y'all.
I don't know what's real no more,
know.
man. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
We posted.
I don't know. Like, I still got 6 home tests, and I swear to God, the other day, this is no bullshit. Like 3-4 months ago, when they was talking about all this shit was coming back, I'm like, I'm just gonna take one of these motherfuckers to see if I got COVID. Surely shit is come back positive. I'm like, I'm not even fucking coughing right now.
When did you do that?
This is like 3 months ago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he has a cross chest bag. I would not call it a purse because Pac-Man Jones will beat your ass. He's a former NFL football player, running back. Anyway, that's funny. And then here, President Trump just announced that he'll be slapping an additional 50% tariff on China if they do not withdraw their retaliatory tariffs by tomorrow. Trump's not fucking around. That's from, this is 5 minutes ago. Yesterday, China issued retaliatory tariffs of 34% on top of their already record-setting tariffs, non-monetary tariffs, illegal subsidization of companies, and their massive long-term currency manipulation, despite my warning that any country that retaliates against the U.S. by issuing additional tariffs above and beyond their already existing long-term tariff abuse of our nation will be immediately met with new and substantially higher tariffs over and above those initially set. Therefore, if China does not withdraw its 34% increase above their already long-term trending abuses by tomorrow, April 8th, 2025, the United States will impose an additional tariffs on China 50% effective April 9th. Additionally, all talk of China concerning their requested meetings with us will be terminated. Negotiations with other countries which have also requested meetings will begin taking place immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So
COVID was planned.
Here we go. It's I hope what his strategy turns into negotiation. It makes you nervous, but again, I don't know if that's the the number one thing I want from this government is to cut their spending. And I'm all for the old penny plan or whatever, meaning 1% a year. Every government agency reduce their budget by 1% a year. I'm sure they got enough. They could just fire enough administrators in all of these agencies to get to that. Just fire one administrator in every department. The people who do the work, keep them, and fire the administrators. And you could get a 1% from the federal government, as far as I'm concerned. All right, 60 Minutes is also trending the news show. Apparently, they say that they did a story, and who knows if 60 Minutes has access to things that they think they do. They said that they could not find criminal records for 75% of the 238 men the Trump administration sent to a Salvadorian prison. Of the 22% that had records, the vast majority are for nonviolent offenses. Trump administration still says they're terrorists. Where did 60 Minutes get their information from? Now this says, I would just encourage people to watch this video and reflect on what we're doing here. Many MAGA folks will be totally fine with it, I understand, but it seems pretty evident that we sent innocent people to this place. I think everyone needs to show their work on this. I think the government needs to show their work. I think 60 Minutes, who can make, because remember, 60 Minutes makes shit up all the time. 60 Minutes changed an interview to make it look better for a presidential candidate. So my confidence in 60 Minutes is right here, unless they can show their work. Where did they get how do they know which, did they have a list of the prisoners that were sent? Do they have their records in every place they've lived? Do they know how many murdered people didn't get charged? How do they know? How do they know? So, FTG to 60 Minutes. Over the weekend, huge protests around the country, the Hands Off movement. Here's some pictures from some of these protests where they had big protests. Because again, leftists can get people to come out and protest for everything. They're kind of like, what is that term they use? Intersectionalism, where the intersections of different, races and sexuality, whatever. They can get a bunch of people to come out for just about anything, and that's what they do. So they show pictures of all these protests: Boston, New York, Chicago, Portland, San Francisco, San Diego, Idaho, Utah, Oakland, and I know we had them here in the Twin Cities at the state capitol. But they're always protesting for everything. So great. Now, do we ignore it? No. But we can also take it for what it is. By the way, this is just a meme that came up that you saw pop up earlier. Bill Clinton fired 377,000 federal employees and was able to balance the budget while banging interns and chilling with Epstein. Dems were happy. Now, what changed? Yeah, true. By the way, the protest in Idaho, obviously, also, when anyone takes pictures of these, they will take the picture that makes the crowd look the biggest. Now, granted, there were a lot of people at these protests, but they're the same people who were at all the protests, as far as I'm concerned. And then this is that Julie Kelly thing. I'll just close that because it's in another section here. And then other articles here. So anyway, 50 countries contact the White House to negotiate trade deals after Trump ramps up the trade war. A report from USTR last night, the Office of U.S. Trade Representative, that more than 50 countries have reached out to the president to begin negotiations. Kevin Hassett, director of the National Economic Council, told ABC News that the White House has been flooded with trade calls after the tariffs took effect. Got a report from the USTR. More than 50 countries have reached out. But they are doing that because they understand that they bear a lot of the tariff, he said, continued. And so I don't think you will see a big effect on the consumer in the U.S. because I do think the reason why we have a persistent long-run trade deficit is these people have very inelastic supply. They have been dumping goods in the country in order to create jobs in China. The new tariffs, which kicked in yesterday, included 10% baseline duty on most imports and could go as high as 50% in some cases. The goal, according to the Trump administration, is to punish countries that block U.S. exports and run up America's trade deficit. Now, part of our trade deficit, too, is because we consume more shit than everybody else. So I'm going to always throw that caveat in there. But a lot of it is just because they sell cheap goods here with very cheap labor. Like it's cheap to the extreme, if you know what I mean. UK Prime Minister Ken Starmer reached to the tariffs by saying the world as we knew it is gone, and said Britain was preparing to defend its economy. Concern from experts and retailers persists that prices could go up faster than U.S. shoppers can handle, with some items like cars, clothes, electronics expected to get more expensive. Major stores warn prices could rise almost right away, especially the 25% tariffs on goods from Mexico. Trump has told Americans to hang tough, even though the markets have been shaky. Hassett pushed back on claims that the administration is trying to crash markets on purpose to get the Federal Reserve to lower rates. All right. And then just some of the headlines that are included that I'm not going to be able to get to, but one here from National Pulse: Trump's tariffs are about a lot more than just reducing the trade deficit. The key quotes: Trump team believes that the bond market is a more significant economic problem at the moment than the volatility in the stock market. Mirren argues that a weaker dollar would reduce haven demand and close the trade gap by decreasing overvaluation. But there's definitely some bullet points in there you want to read. Daily Wire, again, Trump has called for people to hang tough. President Donald Trump on Saturday told Americans to hang tough as short-term pain is felt from a slew of new tariffs, as he also noted trillions of dollars of investment committed to the United States. This past week, Trump unveiled his Liberation Day plan for implementing reciprocal tariffs on imports to rectify what he views as decades-long trade imbalance between the United States and other countries. China has been hit much harder than the U.S., not even close. The president posted on Truth Social, "They and many other nations have treated us substantially badly. We have been the dumb and helpless whipping post, but not any longer. We're bringing back jobs and businesses like never before. Already more than $5 trillion in investment and rising fast." So that's his message. Now, in the Senate, they have advanced GOP tax cuts, border security, after spending a marathon session. The Senate voted largely along party lines early Saturday morning to pass a budget blueprint encompassing many of President Trump's legislative priorities, including a permanent extension of the president's 2017 tax cuts and $175 billion in new spending on border security. The Senate voted 51-48 to advance the Trump-backed budget resolution to the House for consideration, with Republican Senators Rand Paul of Kentucky and Susan Collins of Maine joining with Senate Democrats to oppose the fiscal framework. And I'm going to guess, again, Rand Paul on principle, because certainly there is deficit spending included in that, which he is adamantly against. The budget blueprint passage, roughly 2:30 a.m., came after a marathon series of votes known as Vote-A-Rama, during which Senate Democrats forced their Republican colleagues to take potentially contentious votes on amendments related to their entitlement program spending, Department of Government efficiency actions, and Trump's tariffs. Some Senate Republicans countered that the forthcoming tax and spending bill would be unlocked with passage of the budget resolution by both chambers, and would not cut America's Medicaid and Medicare benefits. Congressional Republicans are seeking to enact Trump's legislative agenda through a process known as budget reconciliation, which allows Senate Republicans to bypass the filibuster and advance legislation by a simple majority vote. So that's where they're going with that, and you can read more details in that article. Let's see, hang on a second here. Oh, fuck me. Okay, there you go. I don't know if you saw this. This woman was interviewing someone, and she's a pro-life activist, and she got punched in the face by the woman she was interviewing. What else can you expect from an ideology that celebrates the murder of preborn babies than for its loyal followers to enforce through violence? Savannah Craven, a content creator for the pro-life group Live Action, was brutally beaten. Well, she got punched in the face. They brutally beaten means she got beaten. They kept beating her and blah, blah, blah. But she did punch the woman. The woman did punch her in the face very nastily, and should be brought up on charges. Was beaten in the streets of New York City Thursday while she was asking pedestrians if they know what Planned Parenthood does. In the middle of her interviews, one violent wildebeest approached her, allegedly asking to be featured. Craven claimed she knew the woman was an abortion lover off the bat, but that the woman was respectful at the beginning of their conversation. It didn't last long. Upon learning Craven opposes the murder of preborn babies, the beast grew enraged. "You don't understand the magnitude of having a child," she yelled at Craven. Apparently, that justifies murdering children, even those in foster care, according to the woman. The conversation devolved into bloodshed when Craven pressed her for allegedly admitting she'd be okay with killing foster babies and children who have been abused. "That's not the point," she yelled before suddenly sucker punching Craven twice. The crazen lard then scurried off like a coward before the injured activist could even get off the ground and figure out what the hell had happened to her. So there's video in the article. It's pretty bad and shouldn't have happened. James Carville compares, people who agree with Trump as Nazi collaborators. Shocker. You can read about that in Breitbart. Legal insurrection. Again, ignoring the protest would be at your own peril. As orchestrated and misguided as the hands-off protests against President Donald Trump and Elon Musk held in cities throughout the U.S. were Republicans would be foolish to ignore them. The events were well attended, strategic, and powerful. The protests matter, and they must be countered. CNN reported that millions of people gathered to condemn what they see as the Trump administration's hostile takeover. You mean the one where they were voted in? An attack on American rights and freedoms, quote unquote. Over 1,400 hands-off mass action protests were held at state capitals, federal buildings, congressional offices, Social Security headquarters, parks, and city halls throughout the entire country. Anywhere we can make sure they hear us, organizers said. Hands-off demands an end to this billionaire power grab. And I'm confused. What is the power grab? You mean the people who got voted into office are doing what they said they would do? Don't underestimate them. They're getting organized while we're getting cocky and infighting. I'd rather take this very seriously and be wrong than brush it off and lose in 2026. Hey, that is a good point. We can't just brush it off. We've got to have some sort of counter argument. And he's responding to this woman who said, retards gathered all across mostly blue cities today, accomplishing fuck all. Well, they're fired up, and guess what? You get all those people to vote, that's a problem, unless you get your own organizing effort to get people out to vote for the ones who agree with it. So there you go. So, and again, a lot of the groups that are sponsoring these events, list of organizations behind the hands-off protests across the country yesterday. Well, they were organized enough to get all those people to come out. So you can't slough it off. Portland man charged for allegedly shining a laser at Tesla employees. Last weekend, we covered the Tesla takedown protests. Protesters were violent. Many were arrested and charged. The current administration is in no mood to coddle criminals if they confuse free speech with law-breaking behavior. And in another weekend of protests, of Tesla's plan. I'm going to go out. I'm definitely going to go to the next one. It will be good to review some of the most egregious cases of leftist violence in this current cycle. David Nafson, a Portland man, has been charged with using a laser to assault Tesla employees during a protest at a Tesla dealership in South Waterfront in Portland. So this is in Portland? They had a protest in Portland? How could it be? Nobody protested in Portland. Oh, wait, it's Portland. Never mind. Nafshun is facing felony counts of unlawful use of a weapon after allegedly shining a laser into the eyes of a Tesla employees, causing them to report vision problems. He was released on his own recognizance. Of course, it's Portland. The same day of his arrest. The probable cause affidavits as police responded to a call at South Waterfront Portland Tesla dealership. Blah, 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 blah. So, good. FTG, but, it's Portland, so he'll get a slap on the wrist. So there's more Tesla takedown protest planned. Federalists, how the media are lying right now. Tariffs as a tax on consumers edition. Look, the media is going to go full in on the most negative aspects of the tariffs. Interesting thing, and there's a couple other articles I'm not going to get to today. You can check out. Plus, I have the aggregator in the links. Look, when Trump was in office the first time, we imposed what was some kind of 20% tariff on much of what was coming from China. The corresponding prices raise, and that includes over the Biden administration, because the Biden administration never repealed the 20% tariffs on China. The corresponding rise in prices of Chinese goods was 0.7%, which is not even related to the inflation during the Biden administration. So, do tariffs automatically raise prices? Not necessarily, especially if they've been dumping goods at really low underpriced, or not even underpriced, just if they've been dumping goods because they make tons of goods at very cheap prices, and a 20% tariff, if it doesn't affect them, they still want to sell those goods, then they take that little bit of loss. Is that going to happen for sure along these lines? We don't know. And we also don't know if these countries that are already negotiating the tariffs, if that's going to have an effect. Are we going to move? Will it move more manufacturing to other countries? Will it bring more manufacturing to the U.S.? I don't know what's going to happen. But all I know is the media and Democrats and leftists and communists and, all that redundant stuff are intent on telling you that it's going to be the worst thing in the world. And they're going to try to scare you. And I'm in the wait and see camp. So I don't know about you, but I'm willing to see, knowing that there would be some pain, and especially getting rid of some of the government agencies, whatever, everything that's going on right now, I'm going to wait and see. It's only been 72 days. And we needed to do something significant, not measured, not, step by step. We needed to do something to change course. And I am certainly hoping that this is all successful. And that's all I can say about that. Now, for the rest of the week, I'm going to try to find some stories on other things, because I realized that since probably the election, I've only been talking about political shit. I mean, granted, we have our daily topics, our daily trending topics, but there's some other things that I want to talk about. For example, yesterday, in my downtime from family and stuff, I watched a whole bunch of those Billboard Chris videos where he goes out and talks to people about the transitioning of children, for example, or the puberty blocks and shit like that. And I was fascinated by some of the people that came and talked to him. And so I want to get back into more of some of the social issues that are interesting to me. And so we're going to do more of that. I'm not abandoning the political stuff altogether, because a lot of that is political in its nature itself. But I do want to get back into other topics, because I talk about Trump all the time, because everybody talks about Trump all the time. So I want to find something else to talk about. Also, I would encourage you as a viewer of the show, if you have videos or articles that you want me to react to or do some talking about, I highly encourage you to send them to me. You can send them to me via DM on X, or you can email them to me at pdognight@gmail.com. You can put them on Discord. I'm checking Discord every day again, which I haven't done for a while. Wherever you want to do that, I highly encourage you to do that, because content is king, and sometimes you find better content than I do. So here are the links from today's show. And, oops, what did I do there? Maybe if I can type today's show. And that's it. I got to go. I'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same channel. My name is P-Dog Knight. And I am out of here. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight. And thanks for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.